I left it like so late one year that I literally had to go to like Elgin and just go around the shops because like it would have just taken way too long. Like, so I was like, I'll never
That's
do
a
that
nightmare because you
again.
can't find nothing.
Exactly, yeah, because like even stuff like Black Friday and that. Like I remember when that, because that's an American thing, really, isn't it? Like that was where it first started, and then it kind of found its way over here.
It's chaos, man. Black Friday is absolute chaos.
Especially like I think it was 2014, so it's like 10 years ago. And I remember this is where you still went to like the high street to do shopping, whereas like Elgin High Street's it's quite vacant now. Do you know what I mean? Compared to what it was like even 10 years ago.
It's dire. Like,
and I think we just came out of Burton's or something with a mate, and we were like, we'll go get a taxi from the taxi rank next to the bank and everything. And we're speaking to a driver, and like just looked like he had been stressed to high heaven, and it was just like this has been absolutely non-stop. And to be fair, it looked genuinely like Edinburgh that day. Do you know what I mean? The amount of people that were going about. So yeah, but it's strange, isn't it? Because like I think I think we've kind of spoke about this before, but like it seems like there's a hell, and I suppose it's just because America's like the biggest kind of country in terms of how like culture's affected the West in like you know the last 50 years. There's like a lot of stuff that comes from America. Like Halloween didn't necessarily come from like America, but like the current variant of it for sure did.
Like the big hype and all that. Like, like even when we were younger, it was far. I kind of felt like everybody sort of celebrated it back then. But see now, you never see anyone.
No, I know.
Like,
it's
you know,
weird.
like we were always going indoors and all that sort of stuff. And then nowadays there's nobody about.
It's got to be like a technology thing though, isn't it? Like,
I think so.
I think we were like the last chopper out before like technology really like it was obviously coming. Like there was stuff like video games, consoles were improving and all this type of stuff. But like I was saying to the last person I had on here, I remember like the first iPhone being around 2007. That was the first time I'd ever seen like an iPhone of any sort of where there was like a touchscreen element. And
oh man, that freaked me. See, when I saw the iPod Touch, when that came out, I remember, I think it was Wee Legs that had it. And he had it, and we were at the community centre one night, and I was like, what's that? And he was like, oh, it's the iPod Touch. And the iPod Touch. And I'm looking at it going, good, can I have a shot? So I was like, I was flicking a bit. I was like, this is strange.
Those were the days. Like I remember as a kid, whenever you got anything or any of your friends got anything, it was always the first response was, can I borrow it?
Give a shot. Give a shot. I want to like, it's just so like alien to me. Like at that time, I was just like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I know.
How does this work?
And that was it's mad because like it seems like such a small thing now, doesn't it? Like having like a touch screen. Like
I mean, what our phones are capable of, man. Like
it's nuts.
Our phones are like, I don't even know how much more powerful than like the technology that put the man on the moon, right? So like the technology we've got in our pocket every day is just insane.
But did you see the thing that Google came out with that new chip?
Yeah.
So it's like a quantum chip, and apparently
seen that
it's going to be the jump from what we have now to this is equivalent of what we had in the 70s till now in one go, which is that's going to be something.
It was something to do with like the amount of data that it can basically take in or whatever, and like it would take like, I don't know, it was something like 10,000 years to upload on the current like most like the most powerful CPUs. Like I just got a new PC. My CPU is pretty powerful, right? And then when I heard this, and I was going, "Oh my god, I need to get a new CPU." This thing figure goes is giving. But yeah, it took 10,000 years, but they're able to do it in 5 minutes now.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Like that's the sort of jump that we're talking here. Like that's just nuts.
I mean, like in our lifetime, I maintain this. It might be towards the back end, right enough, but like I genuinely think we're gonna have like artificial intelligence or robots or whatever the title of it will be that look, sound, and act exactly like how we're acting with each other right now.
Like Westworld.
Yeah. And that's gonna be really scary because I think, I don't know, have you ever played the video game Detroit Become Human, where it kind of explores where like AI's kind of developed to that part, but humanity's using it for like maids and lonely kind of isolated guys getting an AI wife and all that, and then it turns out like they become sentient and have like feelings, and like they do this revolution because they're getting treated like shit by humanity.
Yeah.
And to be fair, you can kind of see it going like that, can't you?
100%.
You know what I mean? Like,
but I think, you know, like you always get people, it's like, oh, we need to put the brakes on AI. It's like, yeah, it's too late, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we are fucking way up there now. Like I mean, Elon said it years ago about like you need to be careful with this stuff, and nobody listened to him.
Yeah, wasn't he like involved in? He was involved in one of the first open AIs, and then he sold out or something like that.
I think it freaked him out even. I think, to be honest, but I mean, like that film Ex Machina. Remember that film? Like they had like this AI thing basically in a glass like screen that was like basically in jail.
Yeah,
but it was like an experiment, and then obviously it breaks out, and it's like mega powerful, and it can, you know.
Yeah.
So like, if you think about it though, if you've got like an AI person, it just looks like you, right? Not me because I'm broken, but you, and walking about, and like say like we have an army of them with no feelings.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you know, they can do what needs to be done like that, where a person might hesitate to shoot an enemy or something like that because a person has a soul, they have a feeling, do you know what I mean? So like, when you're talking about AI and you're talking about a machine, essentially, and can get shit done, I mean, I think, you know, it's only a matter of time before they start turning it into weapons.
Yeah, that's the first thing that humans are going to do with anything. Like, there is like, I always kind of look at, you know, when like they think about aliens and the paranoia is like, if aliens were ever come down, it would be to invade and all that stuff. I genuinely think that's just because we're thinking of it from our point of view, because that's what we would do.
I don't think we can comprehend what an alien would do.
No, like, I mean, I suppose like we can only really view it from how we would think it would go, because
yeah, I mean, we're stuck in a 3D matrix, right? So when you're talking about aliens and things like that, they can travel across galaxies and universes and whatever, right? So like the amount of technology there, the difference in technological advancement is just like night and day. It's like black and white. It's like, do you know what I mean? So I honestly think that aliens, if they were going to do it, they would have done it by now.
Oh yeah, like we would have no say in the matter.
Oh no, there's not, like, and like, you know, all the sightings and all that people, and I'm not talking about the drones in New Jersey, but I'm talking about, there was like these like plasma looking orbs like floating about, and nobody knows what they are. But there's loads of UFO sightings every day, and they seem to be increasing.
Yeah, isn't there not like some mad stat that it's increased like tenfold since the invention of the atom bomb or something like that?
Yeah, like 1945, I think it was. So like, yeah, I mean, then obviously you had Roswell, which was like 1947, which was the same year the CIA was founded, and I think the CIA was basically founded in order to try and figure out what this is. And
yeah, you
know, I think, you know, there was word of they were in contact with other ET races or something. I don't know. That was what I was watching the other day. But it's mad. Like, when you look at, if I said to you that there'd be all these UFO sightings, like if I said to you 5 years ago, and showing you videos and pictures, and then even the drones in New Jersey, you'd be like, nah.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like an everyday thing that everybody talks about now.
People have become more comfortable. I remember like when COVID first happened, or the first kind of weeks of lockdown, there was like some press secretary for the Trump administration or something to do with the military, when they were having these press conferences every day, that just kind of came out and said that all this kind of stuff that was floating about on the internet from like, you know, allegedly the American kind of Air Force or something was like legit, like they didn't know what it was. And everyone was like that focused on like being locked in the house at the time. No one really cared. You know what I mean?
The same as the videos that came from the Navy, right? Like, everybody thought for a long, long time, you know, if aliens showed themselves, or if they admitted that there was alien life and all that stuff, that people would go nuts. You know, like Independence Day, like they'd lose their shit. They would walk about. They would literally walk about the streets with signs, and they'd be looting shops. They'd be going nuts. But like, they released this video of like footage of some weird ass craft that nobody knows what it is. Nobody cared. Nobody gives a shit. Everybody was just like, all right, just flicked right past. It was like,
it's crazy. I think that is like, it's because, especially with like stuff like, well, I wouldn't just say TikTok, but like, you know, that kind of whole short form content now, nothing's ever stimulating enough to kind of keep interest, is it? It's just like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next
like,
thing?
Not like you used to be able to sit and watch a documentary. Like these days, it's unheard of, you know.
And it's weird. It's like the only last long form thing that people seem to pay attention to is podcasts. Like, that seems to be something that's accelerated. Well, stuff like films, maybe not so much video games. I still think they're as popular as ever. But like you said, like long form stuff, where like to be fair, I actually sat down and watched a documentary the other day, but I wasn't like meaning to. I just kind of came across it on YouTube. So I don't know if, do you remember Michael Moore? He was a guy that did like a bunch of films on like 9/11 and the Iraq War and that. There's like a big, he's like a really like big guy, glasses and the hat, and I think he did some speech at the Oscars, like criticizing George Bush for the Iraq War, and he was getting booed and all that, and then obviously, you know, probably vindicated as, you know, like years later. But he did a film on the American healthcare system, which is obviously a big talking point at the moment with what happened to that CEO guy or whatever in New York, and it's like fucking crazy. Like I was looking at it, and like there's a story in the middle of it where like a 53-year-old mum and dad, like I think one had a heart attack or something, and I can't remember what happened to the wife, but like their claim got denied because I think like the United Health Organization, I think it's like the highest for denying claims, like 32% of claims they're just like, nah, you don't qualify, which is bizarre because if someone's paying health insurance,
what are you paying it for?
Yeah, you shouldn't be able to deny that. Do you know what I mean? There's a reason you're paying it. Not that I'm like condoning like the action that actually happened. Like I think obviously there's got to be more kind of diplomatic ways to do it than just kind of gunning someone down in the street. But I can see where like people's kind of anger and aggro are coming for, where people are making money off of people dying or not getting their claims met and that bit. So yeah, that their claims got denied and they went bankrupt. And then they ended up moving in with like their daughter who was like 25 or something. And it's fucking nuts. Like that just happens in the blink of an eye.
It seems to be happening all over the West though. Yeah. I mean, it's like the UK as well. Like, you know, you put up a Facebook post up and you're banged behind bars. Like, I'm not condoning what people are saying, right? But then again, you know, some people might put something out there and they might just be a bit angry or something, you know, and then they might delete it later. But it's just something they got it off their chest, right? But you know, some of the things that people are getting locked up for is fucking unbelievable, ridiculous. Yeah,
and it's a slippery slope, isn't it? Because like it's always kind of like, well, if you do that, and then like it goes further and further and further and further, isn't it? It's like, don't get me wrong, like if someone says something and that from that, if they can prove from that thing being said leads to someone getting attacked or something, like it changes the dynamic of it, doesn't it? But like, especially when we're led to believe that prisons are like at their full capacity, it does seem like there's probably more darker crimes that maybe should be getting kind of prioritized in that sense. But who knows?
But when you look at the people that's getting let off though,
yeah, it's not good.
I'm not going to say any more, but I think everybody knows what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Right? People that are doing horrible, horrible things.
Yep.
And they're just being let off with a slap on the wrist, right? But yeah, you put up a Facebook post and that's you banged behind bars.
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't make any sense.
Come on, man. Like, I think Labour's at its day, to be fair.
I think they all have, to be fair. Like, it's been a back and forth tennis match between them and the Conservative Party for what, like 50, 60? Yeah, pretty much.
They're the same people. Like, they both work together anyway, regardless who gets in, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I think it's time for a change.
Well, it's mad. Like, isn't it? Like, I heard that Sue Gray wifey's name mentioned, and I was thinking, I remember that name, and it turns out she is the I can't remember what her title was at the time, but she was involved in the Johnson government and did the report into Partygate where, you know, she was saying that like Johnson was having cakes and stuff like that and then going out and, you know, but like she's now part of, and I'm like, how is that possible? Like, you know, and one of the maddest things that I've ever seen when I've watched the House of Commons, and I don't watch it often, is when, have you ever seen when someone like, what's the word for it? Defects from one party to the other side, and it's hilarious, right? Because they have to sit in the seat of like, so let's just say a Labour MP goes Conservative or vice versa. There's like they have like their Prime Minister's questions and they sit down and then the Speaker announces it, and then like when it's announced, they walk over to the opposite bench and everyone's going mental on that, and I'm like, this is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life.
It is. I mean, like whenever I watch it, like, do you know like how you get like, it's weird because they're all like nerds, right?
Yeah.
They're like, and they're like trying to insult each other across the benches, and it's like, and then when someone says something that everybody else likes, and they're all like, yeah, like, and I'm like, what are you on about? Like, you all work together. Like, you might argue here, but then on the way out, you're all laughing and shaking hands and all that, and it's like you're trying to believe, like, you know, make people like us believe that there's a divide and there's no divide there. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, the whole control of the population that they're wanting is that, you know, they try and make people be divided. They try and make each other enemies, and it's like, well, if you're Labour, I can't like you because I'm Conservative.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it's not really the case, because like they're all friends anyway. They all work together.
It just kind of comes from like tribalism, doesn't it? Like the way that I've kind of seen it is it's kind of like, it's the same with like stuff like sport. Like football's always the primarily one. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, I get banter and everything like that, but then you'd like some of the stuff that I see online is just like fucking hell, man. But anyway, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Speaking of phones, I've been due an upgrade for a while, right? Like I got my last phone in 2021, the start of 2021, and I think it was like a 3-year thing. So the contract not ended, but like I was able to upgrade to a new phone the start of this year, and I just never really thought about it. And then I was having a think the other day, and I've been getting into photography quite a lot recently. Still learning the ropes of that to an extent.
Oh, are you gonna move away from iPhone?
Yeah, well, no. I had a Samsung, so I moved away from iPhone in 2021 when I got my my last phone, and it was a good phone, to be fair. Like, do you know what is strange? It is how we're talking about the phone changing over time. It's mental how quickly things change. So like, I've not had an iPhone for 3 years, and I got this last week, and I was forgetting how to like do stuff because everything's different. Like, I didn't know there was Face ID stuff.
Like all the iOS updates and that.
Yeah, I was like, how do I delete all my tabs? And like my cousin was telling me you got to swipe up, you know. And I was like, oh, this is.
And it kind of throws a wee bit of a. It's weird, and it throws someone into the mix when there's no home button.
Yes.
That like, see, when I first got my first iPhone with no home button, I was like, what the fuck? See, trying to show my granda how to do it. Oh my god, man, nightmare.
Yeah,
nightmare.
And it's like, I mean, to be fair, I was looking at the deals. And this is, better not try and break it, fucking hell. That's pretty good. I think it was like £24 a month. And it's an iPhone 16, which I think just came out a couple of months ago, did it? I'm not...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. I'm due an upgrade too, to be honest.
The only reason that I got it was because of the camera. I was looking at between that and then the newest Samsung that was also there for the similar amount of money. And it said the iPhone was superior in the camera sense, so that's why I got it.
Yeah. I mean, I've always like went for the pros, like the Max.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I just like a big phone. But like, I'm due an upgrade, but I think I was due an upgrade like a few months ago, so I'm gonna have to upgrade it at some point. I'll probably get the new one, the 16 or whatever. But
I do regret not going for like the Pro or the Max, only because in the video section, by the way, the fact that phones can record in 4K 60 frames per second blows my fucking mind.
Nuts.
But I think it's got a better battery life, obviously, but hence why it's probably a bit of a bigger size as well. But it has the ability to record like log footage, which is like the flat profile that lets you grade and that. And I was like, oh, but I'm still happy with my choice. Like,
listen, the thing is, right, there's only like a little differences. It's not mental. Like, it's not like, you know, like you have this phone, you have that phone, if you have that one, then it's no good. Because the phones are insane. Like, I was watching, like, you know, when they released the 16, like, all the features of both phones and all that. And I was just like, it doesn't matter what one you get. Like, they're all insane. Like, they're all incredible. The fact that you can record in 4K, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then, like, do you know what really drives me nuts, right? Is that the frame rates on the phones are, you can choose between 30 frames and 60 frames, right? Which is pretty universal for a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Which I don't understand, because we're in a PAL region, which, you know, I think America's NTSC, which are the two different regions for frame rates, because we're on a different power grid or something along the lines of that.
Right.
So, like, on most cameras in this side of the world, I think you do have the chance to like change it to NTSC if you want, but like if you're filming, like for example inside, there's going to be light flicker because the power grid's different. I don't know the full ins and outs of it, but I have watched like a few things on it. But it blows my mind that like phones, like it's completely fine, but with cameras, there's I don't know what is behind that, and I'm just like, can we not just like, if we're meant to be leveling up, can we not just get on the same fucking power grid as America so we can get that extra 10 frames, man? But anyway, I digress.
I just got a new PC, right, and I got a 4090 graphics card in it.
Oh Jesus, those are
It's fucking insane.
I've seen the, do you know those benchmark videos where they go through like a bunch of like tax and stuff? Yeah, it looks like it absolutely shreds.
Yeah, like I'm on COD, right? And I'm getting 250 frames per second, and it's just like, and I'm like, oh my God, like it was going up to like 260, 270, and it just like, because I've got the FPS counter in the corner, so I'm always watching it. But it's just nuts, man.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy.
I've got a mate that, like he's proper in, well, funnily enough, he was kind of the one that not swayed my decision, but he showed me a photo because he also goes out and takes photos of Northern Lights and all that type of stuff. And he showed me a photo he took on the iPhone 16. And I was like, fucking hell, that's brutal that a phone can take a photo. And obviously he'd maybe put it through Lightroom, or I think there's like an in editor on. Is
that some of the photos you showed me?
No, that was just ones that I took on the Lumix. Like he literally, it was as we were taking them at that location though, he just kind of brought this up and I was like, oh, what did you take that on? And he was like, oh, just the phone. I mean, he's got a camera as well, but
insane, isn't it? Like what he can do. Like it's like technically, like unless you are a photographer and you make content and all that, a phone is fucking more than good enough. Like,
and I remember, I think I listened to something years ago, and it's so true that like phones aren't really phones now, are they? Like they're mobile computers basically, but
it's just a mini computer.
Yeah, like because the one thing that they still haven't managed to kind of crack is how to get like a good call, like good quality call. And like to be fair, I would probably argue that like calls and actually physically phoning someone via my phone instead of like, I don't know, WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger or whatever it may be, it's probably like the last thing on my mind now, unless like I'm receiving a call. Do you know what I mean? So
like if you can choose to have a call through like your normal signal or your 5G, what's going to be more better? What's going to be better? Your 5G, right? Providing you got, like if you're with, like where we stay, EE is probably like who most people go with just because of where you are. But yeah, I mean, these days whenever I'm making a call or anything like that, it's most likely through WhatsApp or even Facebook Messenger.
It's crazy. Like, well, a couple of people have like spoke to people from out with the UK in here, and every time they've done it is they use WhatsApp. And I didn't even realize this because I'm quite new to WhatsApp. I only got it when I was probably last year at some point when I just left the college course and the course wanted to keep in touch with each other. So I wasn't like fully aware of its like capabilities, but like there's no international charge to phone someone because someone had someone on from America in here. Someone had, I think they spoke to someone in Ireland. So yeah, it's pretty nuts. Like it almost just defeats the purposes of like the thing back in the day was how many calls and texts can you get in your contract. Now it's just obsolete, isn't it? Like,
see, like that's the thing, right? Like I'm my own worst enemy, right? Because like I'll go and I'll get like just say unlimited text, unlimited phone calls, right? And then so much data, whatever. And I use it very little, text or calls.
Yeah.
Because you have WhatsApp, you have Instagram, you have Snapchat, you have Facebook Messenger, you've got so many different apps that you can use to communicate with anybody.
And they're all free.
Anywhere. For free, really.
Yeah.
If you're in the house, you got your Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
It's like, 5G's pretty good. I think really nowadays, if I just got unlimited 5G, that would be it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't need anything else.
And like you're starting to see like one thing that's really frustrating me at the moment is that last year I had a friend got like full fiber internet, and he was showing me the capabilities in this, and it's like someone that transfers stuff to people a lot of time for what they do as a job. I was like, I need that, and apparently this part of Lossy is not going to be done until 2026 or something like that.
We don't get it,
which is like I don't understand how that works.
Yeah, like, so like this is crazy, right? Because I had this issue maybe a few weeks ago. I just got my new PC, and I was like, and I noticed I thought it was like an issue with my old PC, and when I was downloading games, like we should be getting like 70 megabytes per second, right?
Yeah.
Which is not a lot,
no,
but it's enough when you're just wanting to download games and shit. So anyway, I'm downloading a game and it's not going past 9.
No,
and
same
I'm going,
over here.
What the hell is going on with this, man? And I was trying to work it out. Anyway, I was speaking to Crookie, and he was like, I'm getting over 200 megabytes per second.
And he just lives up the road.
Margaret's Crescent, right? Yeah, and I'm going, what? Anyway, I was speaking to my mate down in Liverpool, and he was like, yeah, I get 600 megabytes per second. And I'm like, what? why? Why are we not getting this?
I know there's like, they mentioned something like green boxes or something like that, but I was like, surely to like, what is the complication that delays an area that is literally a 5-minute walk from the area that you've just mentioned, having the access to the same access of that thing? Because I kind of thought when it was getting, first, like, not trying to give away the exact location of where we're at, but because we're quite close to like an airbase, I thought we would maybe get first priority because they would probably take that into account. Yeah,
it's probably all separate, right?
Yeah,
because like obviously theirs would be the best.
Yeah,
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if their upload speed is as well as their downloads.
Yeah.
Like it's the same. Like it wouldn't surprise me. Like I know like there's a lot of people down in England, at least anyway, especially like London and all that areas, that have got mega amounts of download, and then their upload's the same. And it's like normally your upload is no great.
Yeah, it's like a fraction of what the download stuff is. Yeah,
like so. I think we're way behind in that. That area. Like,
well, that's the thing. Like I had a family member phone up BT, and they said, "Oh, it's going to be coming soon because there's a map thing, and it was like blue, like it shows you around the UK where they're building, where it's finished." And I think Lossy was in the blue, and they were saying like, "Oh, it's literally imminent." That was the words that they used, and they said, "What we'll do is we'll put you on this thing that's like 30p more a month on your contract or whatever, and you'll be entitled to a free upgrade." But I'm like, surely they knew, like, this whole complicate, you know what I mean? And I'm like, surely that's false. I know it's 30p, but like it's false advertising, you know what I mean? Like, and I get it because they're salespeople, they've got to do what they got to do. But it's like it's pretty shit when like that happens for sure. But yeah, I don't understand if someone from OpenReach wants to reach out and explain to me why like a 3-mile round town, like 1/3 of it has to wait till not even next year but the year after to even have it considered is very peculiar.
And the annoying thing is always like, like if you've got a hobby like me that likes to game and fly in simulators and things, like internet is kind of crucial.
Oh yeah.
I mean, especially yourself and with your work and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, trust me, like I do it overnight and it's like 3-4 hours to get a podcast to someone.
I see,
it's not helping my laptop's battery either.
No. So like, when I it must be like, obviously Lossy have obviously started getting decent internet, but it's just we've got to wait.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like anywhere else. I know that up there in where Creaky stays is good,
The person I knew, 2-minute walk from St Margaret's Crescent, so a very similar area, and it was like, I think it was like 190 megabytes per second that they were getting, and it was like 100 upload or something. So
see, like down in England, like as I said, my pal in Liverpool was getting 600 megabytes per second, but we don't need that.
No,
200's enough, man.
Oh
like,
yeah,
that is like more than enough to, just an extra 100 to what you're getting now.
Yeah, like I think like yeah, I'll probably just make myself mad if I keep going on about it, to be honest. So, but yeah, it's crazy how quick Christmas comes around now, isn't it? Like we were kind of just saying before we started recording that like there is obviously like Christmas is different compared to like what it was as like a kid, like because you're quite like, what am I getting for Christmas this year? Do you know what I mean? That whereas now like I just kind of enjoy the day because it feels like the world just stops. And like, you get to see your family, great food, all this type of stuff.
It's the scran, that's all I'm in it for.
Like. Oh my God, yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Like,
it's when you know you're getting older.
I know, but like, it is crazy how like quick it comes around now because it felt like it used to take ages when you were a kid. Not because we had stuff like school and that we weren't enjoying, and then there would always be like,
it's just because the life you were living at the time, you were just a wee kid.
Yeah.
Everything feels like it takes ages when you're young, but see when you're older, man, it gets quicker. Like my granddad, who was 90, right? He was 91. But when he was alive, he was telling me, he was like, oh, the older you get, the quicker it will go.
Yeah.
He's like, so Ken, like whatever you do, like make sure that you're enjoying it, and because it goes quick.
Yeah. Quick. 100%. It's like a setting on the Sky Plus remote gets pressed every year goes by.
Nuts, man.
Yeah.
Like I remember I had this summer song that I was creating back in July, I think. One of my favourite songs I've done, and I remember sitting there enjoying the sunshine with this song blaring, right? And then the next time I look around, it's like Christmas time, and I'm like, all right. I mean, there's loads of songs in between there that I've done, but Jesus, man, it's crazy how quick it comes.
I know. It feels like, I always say to myself, I don't know why, right? I always say to myself, I'm going to really enjoy September. And the reason that I say that about September is because it's, for me, in this particular area, it's like the best of both worlds. So we get pretty decent weather. Mm-hmm. The seagulls have fucked off. Not fucked off, but like they're not swooping and stuff anymore. Because like if you're here in July and you try and walk around this town in a nice day, you're taking your life into your own hands some of the time, right? But so there's all that, and I was like, I'm going to make sure that I enjoy this month, because then when it goes to October, that's when the cold comes, and then October to April's just like a write-off for weather a lot of the time, innit? Mm-hmm. To be fair though, like I remember this July, I was like, there was like one day of sun. Yeah, it was like raining all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's my September. My birthday's in September, and I don't know. It just seems like a good time.
Yeah,
it always seems to be just a decent month.
Yeah, it's like it's like a transition month, isn't it?
But I don't know if it's just because it's my birthday in that month. I don't know.
It's like the end of summer, but like autumn does kind of start to come about, and you get like a bit of you see like leaves falling off trees, but the sun's still out, and it's not Gary Mackay freezing. But yeah, like it is. It's crazy because it comes round quick, and then the week of like holiday, I guess you would call it, from Christmas to New Year goes even quicker, if you know what I mean. Like the day itself goes really quick, and then I don't know what it is, because I'm never really buzzing for Christmas, especially nowadays where there's just propaganda for it from like November 1st, where it just becomes a bit overkill. But then like at this kind of time, I start finding myself kind of like, okay, no, I'm looking forward to like taking a break and going to like see people I haven't seen throughout the year, stuff of that nature. And then it gets to January 4th, and then like it's almost like I wish the break never happened, because I've got to go back to reality. You know what I mean? And that's like a hard kind of.
It's like a wee bubble in it. December, and then it's like the bubble bursts when you get into January.
Yeah,
and it's like,
I genuinely think it's because most of the time during the Christmas period, I will just chill, watch movies, and eat shit. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same.
Yeah.
I probably do that all year round. But yeah, I mean, like. December for me is went rapid.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, so I remember my cousin's birthday is like the 2nd, and I remember like speaking to him, and then the next time I look around, it's like the 20th.
Well, today. Well, I've got my cousin's in the he's just passed out basic training. He's doing whatever his next training is for becoming I think he said it's avionics, so electrical engineering on planes and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
But he's been away down in Birmingham for like the next stage of this training, right? But he got like 2 weeks off in between passing out from basic and then having to go there. So I think it was October. Yeah, it was, because it was the night after I recorded a game for Bishop Mill. And we went, I said to him, do you want to go, me and Dominic, the manager of Bishop Mill, we're going to go watch Lost United in the cup game against Armandale. Obviously, Lost United had that massive result a few months ago against Auchinleck, and even though they went out the cup the day we went to see them, it was like, that result will never be forgotten, you know what I mean? So yeah, my cousin was up and I was like, do you want to go watch? And he was like, yeah, I'll come along. And now he's coming back up for Christmas, and I'm like, that's like 2 months, just like, and I've not even thought about it.
That's what I'm saying, like the older you get, the faster it goes, you know what I mean? But Lost United's done good.
Yeah, really good. Do you know what? Like, I was saying to Lee, I think it was one of his Patreon episodes, because obviously he had a couple of the Lost United guys on after the you seen them getting in there quick, didn't you? Right after their biggest result. But like I obviously knew Scott Campbell from school and stuff like that, and I know a few of the guys that are involved. Crookie's obviously involved in there now. I think Ali's signed permanently there now.
Ali signed, Ali signed. But he's actually he's away for work at the minute. So, but he's had some injuries, man.
Yeah,
It's just like, so he's taking it easy.
Yeah, for sure.
Trying to build himself back up and all that, because I think, like when you play for Lossy, I think, the standard is quite, it's up there. I mean, it's not the Premier League, do you know what I mean? But, when you do start to get it into the end of your 20s,
becomes harder.
Sometimes it gets a little bit harder. It depends on the person. And we all know, Ali B's a good player. Do you know what I mean? So, and the thing is that, you know, he was a joiner before, so like you need your health.
Yeah.
And that, you know, and pushing that too much, you're gonna leave yourself out of work. You know what I mean? So he was kind of
going to affect other areas of your life.
Yeah, he was kind of just, you know, putting his priorities in place.
It is actually mad though how many kind of injuries Lossy players have had. Like the amount of kind of GoFundMes I've seen. So Ali was one of them. I remember it was at the raffle because I was at one of the games.
Yeah. Bailey was one.
Bailey
Nicky's
was
brother,
one.
Yeah.
I think Ryan Farker was another one.
Yeah, that's right. So, Farker was,
Yeah. So like it is mad. Like, and from Lee doing like a lot of like Highland League stuff, I'm getting a lot of the nostalgia. Like, yeah, speaking of Lost United, Lee's quite on good terms with Fraser Kellis, who was in here last year, and he was obviously the manager of like the golden days of Lossy, where Lossy were competing with like Ross County, Inverness, you know, teams Lossy have no right to be competing with on population, probably financial resources, all that type of stuff. And it is mad to think like Lossy were finishing like third, fourth, second one year, I believe, as well. And I was looking through the league table in the 90s. Of when Fraser was managing them, and then when he left, it's just went from that to where Lossy like finished now around like, you know, mid-table to for a couple of years when I was first young growing up, it was finish above Fort William and that'll be enough. Do you know what I mean? But Fort William are no longer in the Highland League, so now it's just finish above Rothes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't even remember the last game I went to. The Lossy game. I think
the last one I went to was. Oh, actually, no, it was that one in Banks with D6-1, but we'll forget about that one. But I think it was a Scottish Cup game, got beat 4-0 by Beef Juniors. But the reason that I remember it so much is because I think Beef Juniors were they were in the Central Belt somewhere, but it was definitely close to Glasgow.
Right.
And there's a guy that's been going to Lossy games for, however, you know, for the entire life. I remember him from when I was like 11, going to my first game to going to the games later now and seeing him, and he's always like giving stick to the referee and the opposite, not in like a bad way, but like, you know, like you know, as someone like of the elderly generation, all tongue in cheek and quite funny and that. And he sits in the same seat every time, because I remember his voice as well. That's how I recognised him to begin with, because I remembered it from when I was a kid. And this Beef Juniors manager, I mean, they were winning like 2-3-0 when he was getting infuriated with his players, right? Proper Glaswegian guy as well. And it wasn't helping that this guy, like, anytime he commented on something, he would then comment something on him. And he was, to be fair, he kind of like pied it off with like just saying, I think it was, he said he had something about that language or stop that bad language, and he was like, sorry. But it got to the point of like half time where like he must have wound him up by saying these things that bad that the guy went proper mental at him. And I was like, oh, come on, mate. Do you know what I mean? You're like winning 3-0. It's just a guy having a bit of fun at the football for fuck's sake.
Take it on the chin. Like, take it on the chin.
But, but to be fair, I was saying to Lee, that's the first Loss United game that I've been to since I was like real young. Before, obviously, they came back under Alex Lauriston, and you know, Fraser's obviously big involved in that as well. And the match day experience there is actually really surprisingly good. For, you know, like, it's in the middle of the playing fields, but like the raffles, the music they've got playing before the game, it feels like, I know that like it sounds like,
I know what you mean, but it sets an atmosphere.
Yeah, it feels like, you know, like in Bundesliga games when you hear like the music go off when the goal's scored. It's little things like that. Do you know what I mean?
It makes a difference, and it sets an atmosphere. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's, you know, I think the good thing about Loss United now is that people actually give a shit about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people are actually wanting to make this a good thing. You know, a good team, a good club, whatever. You know, like they're actually wanting to make the effort, and I think that's been missing. I think for a while.
Oh yeah, 100%. And just kind of following up on that point, when we went, because you know, I think this is the biggest statement you could probably make about how much people are caring about this is, if people really wanted to, they could watch the game for free. Mm-hmm. Like, they don't have to pay to go in the cage because they
do, because people are going.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think that's really cool. Like, so I'm going to have to try. The problem is I've usually got a podcast in at the weekend. Like, but I remember when Scott said the next cup game was against Armandale. It was at home. Elgin were away. Lossy were away. That I would definitely go down and watch, and even though like it wasn't the result probably the club wanted, it was cool to, like, the pitch is phenomenal, by the way. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember they said, don't know why the council are not going to let them buy the pitch off them, because I've been to a lot of welfare games, the council are not keeping those pitches cut and
see, the council would like to keep the control, you see.
Yeah.
So what they wanted, what they say goes, then, and that's, I mean, I think that's pretty shitty of them.
Especially when it's like guys at the club that are making sure the pitch is in good
they're the
condition
ones
constantly.
I mean, they're the ones that's maintaining the whole thing. I mean, they're doing their job for them, really.
Yeah.
I mean, if they should just let them buy it, man. Like, they're the ones that's taking care of everything.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I remember going, I think I did the Vikings against Elgin Cali, and that was a pitch behind the Esso in Elgin.
Oh, yeah.
That pitch, it looks like it's not been cut for 40 years.
Yeah.
There was, and the same night, Elgin Thistle, which is another welfare team, were putting up the state of their pitch and complaining about it. There was one, there was one in Lossy where it was talking about all the seagull shit and that. Was that the one at the school? That new AstroTurf thing?
Yes.
I think it was
that.
Yeah,
that's fucking weird. But it's the same with the one at the camp.
Yeah.
It was the same, wasn't it? Like, that was always covered, wasn't it? So, seagulls just gonna control, they wreck everything.
Aye. I mean, like, I love how they've got like that thing of like a seagull sounding like it's getting torn apart by a hawk and it does absolutely nothing. Like, they're all sitting next to it and it's just like, whose idea is it?
It's the same with like a lot of people. Like, my mum and dad's got something on the roof that lets off some frequency. And it's meant to keep them away. Does it? Fuck.
No.
They just don't leave. Like, the only thing you can do is like you can try and kind of put like spikes and things
But they
on
just work around
chimneys,
it.
and they just build on it, man. Like, they'll just go and get more and build a bigger nest. That's what I mean.
I mean, fair play to them. They're adaptable fuckers. We'll give them that.
Oh, aye, man. But the thing is, listen, the thing that needs to be done with them is that know what I'm away to say.
The whole reason that they're so bold is because they're not scared.
No, not anymore. Anyway, I mean, before you would run at one.
And it would fly.
And it would literally go away, right? But nowadays, it's basically stands up to you.
Yeah.
And they're twice the size now.
Oh my God, yeah. And it's not just like they're fat, their structure's bigger.
They're massive.
Yeah.
Like, I was trying to say to my pal Becca down the road, I was saying to her, I was like, you don't understand.
No.
Like, you've got to give the seagulls your ID before you enter the street. Like, they've got AK-47s and shit. I was like, but no, like, seriously, they're like dragons.
Yeah.
They're huge. It's like you got to do a double take saying it's an albatross.
Yeah.
They're massive.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do about them. But the fact that they're protected makes it all the harder to I'm not on about like, getting rid of them, but something needs to be done because people's getting, all their belongings is getting wrecked, and like cars and outside furniture,
some
and
of the roofs,
gazebos, and like my mum did a gazebo in the garden for the summer for their hot tub, right? And like right at the top they had pecked holes, all the way through it, and it's like, why would they even peck that? There's nothing in there for them to get.
Yeah,
I don't know, but they just wreck everything. Doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah, and the numbers,
and washing.
Yeah. God, yeah. Don't get me started on that, but yeah, like, and to be fair, like, it's kind of funny. It shows the problem, right? So it was the eve of my birthday, which is kind of irrelevant to the story, but I was sitting down and I was quickly editing something so I could just enjoy the rest of my night, have a couple of whiskeys, and then enjoy my birthday the next day, right? And all of a sudden I heard like this absolute like chaos going on in like my front garden. I was like, what the fuck is that? I looked out and it was a Domino's driver getting attacked by seagulls in my garden, right? I hadn't ordered a Domino's, so it must have been like, went to the wrong house. Boy, was that a fucking mistake, as he found out. But like the guy was like, ran off, like pizza in hand, obviously. So fuck knows if whoever's pizza actually was ended up getting it. But I was like, fucking hell, wrong time to.
See, that just shows you like they're getting aggressive.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's because like their young ones were in the front garden, so
right.
I might have to put a sign up next year, try and warn people before they actually enter, because it is bad.
It's like, even if you're like, for example, if you go to the shop, right, and you buy a sandwich, and then you decide that, oh, I'm gonna just like eat my sandwich on the way up the road, right? So they will literally swoop down and take that straight out of your hand.
Yep.
Like,
no fear.
Like that. Like, I've seen it done many times.
Yeah.
Like, especially, and it's not great for school children. So, like, if the kids from high school are going to get their dinner and then they're on their way out and they're eating a pasta pot or something, and like, I've seen people being attacked.
Yeah.
a seagull attacked my uncle in Elgin High Street, and he was eating a sandwich, and it came and stole the sandwich right out of his hand. That seagull made a mistake. I'm not going to say what happened, but that seagull made a mistake.
Funnily enough, again on my birthday for some reason, it just seems to, it's summer, so I guess
they're taunting you.
Yeah. Well, like, I was stood outside Starbucks, and there was like a seagull kind of flapping in the vicinity, but I didn't think anything of it. Again, Elgin High Street, and this is where like Starbucks had like the tables outside. There was a couple. There was like a family. There were a few tables down, and there was a couple kids that were eating like a cake or something. I seen the seagull getting lower and lower and lower, but it was packed. Like all the tables were full, all this stuff. I was like, "There's no way it's coming down." Literally, just plodded onto the table, started eating like and someone did grab it by the neck. And again, we'll probably end the story there. But that's nuts. Like that just would not have happened 20 years ago. Do you know what I mean?
And I was trying to explain to my pals down the road that, these seagulls are not like the seagulls you have.
No.
These seagulls are like on steroids. They're massive.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they don't bother me like if they're down by the harbour or whatever.
No, definitely not.
Like that's where they should be, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that they're coming more inland,
is a problem.
Is a big issue.
And I understand that like we've probably kind of caused that in a way through like overfishing and maybe things like that, of where we're at the same time, I guess it's also, I know this sounds a bit fucking elitist, but it's also our responsibility to like kind of control where they're at as well. Do you know what I mean? So because at the same time, I would imagine another fact of them going inland is there's that fucking many of them that, you know what I mean, they need more houses to go on.
But people feed them though.
Oh my God,
and it makes it, it makes it that bit harder.
I know
to
for a fact that there's someone feeding them smoked sausage, and I'm warning you, if it keeps happening, an egg might be thrown off that house at one point at a time.
Nightmare.
Please don't detain me, Keir Starmer. I didn't mean that. It was all in jest. I'm just being careful.
This is for entertainment purposes.
Yeah. All in the good name of satire. But it is brutal. Hopefully, thankfully, we've got a good 5 months before we have to worry about that problem again. So I'm going to enjoy that that's not a thing for now. But do you have a film that like you watch kind of constantly around this kind of time? Is there ever a film that you go to for like the holiday season?
Christmas film.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a Christmas film, but
well, I mean, if we're talking about December and stuff like that, then it's always the Home Alones.
Yeah,
Home Alone 1 and 2, and then Elf and films like that. Just like, but I'm not like one for films these days, to be honest with you. Like, I'm more of a TV show kind of guy. But like always when it comes to December, I like to sort of watch all the classics and that, right? But,
for me, I don't know why, right? Like I would probably have went along similar kind of terms, like Home Alone and Elf and stuff. Sometimes I watch Elf and I'm like, should I be finding this funny anymore? And I was like, I do though, I do.
I think it's became one of them
guilty pleasure kind of things.
But it's like, it's almost like a classic now.
Yeah.
I know it came out when we were kids, right? But it kind of is a classic. Yeah.
And it was always shown in school and stuff like that before the break. And
I've been watching Home Alone since I was 5.
Yeah.
I memorised the first film script.
It is a very 90s kid film, isn't it?
Yeah. What about you? What films do you watch?
So I would probably say the same, but up until a couple of years ago, I got told to watch It's a Wonderful Life, right?
I've seen that, yeah.
And it's a film from like 1940 something.
Black and white, right?
Yeah. And I watched it, I think it was one of the COVID years. I think it might have been when I actually had COVID, and my Christmas had been ruined for like 2 years running because obviously you couldn't do anything on the 2021. And I actually had COVID on the 2021 one. So it's quite a long film. It's like 2.5 hours, something along the lines of that. So I put it on like in the dead of night because I was struggling to sleep because I had COVID. And I was actually quite surprised at like how deep of a film it actually is.
Oh, aye.
And like how kind of modern it came across for something that was, made in wartime, I guess.
It's one of them films, it's like, it's hard to explain it. It's kind of like it doesn't matter when you watch it, it'll always be relevant.
Yeah.
Because of the story. As you say, it's deep, right? It's a deep film. First time I saw it was in primary school. Teacher showed us that film. I'd never heard of it. And it was black and white, so we were wanting to watch Shrek. We were not wanting to watch that. Right? Yeah. But I don't think I've actually watched it as an adult.
Yeah.
But I do remember watching it.
But
I
yeah,
think I've only seen it once though.
but yeah, so I've watched the last couple Christmas Eves, and another one which is more Christmas Day would probably be Trading Places. I don't know if you ever remember that film. Eddie Murphy, and I'm trying to remember the other actor's name, but basically, I mean, I love most Eddie Murphy films anyway. So like, but basically the premise of the film is that there's like a Wall Street guy, and Eddie Murphy plays like a guy that's homeless, and they get into like some kind of altercation where they bump into each other. A briefcase gets dropped. The billionaire guy tries to say that Eddie Murphy's like tried to mug him or something. There's a big police chase, and then the two owners of like the Wall Street thing have like a bet for $1 that if they switch them around, they'll turn Eddie Murphy's character into a big successful business person, and the person that's into a, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like it's kind of cool because at the end, like Eddie Murphy's character and the I can't remember the actor's name. I'd have to look it up, but they kind of come together and fuck over the big Wall Street guys, and it's cool though. It's funny.
Can't believe I've not seen that.
Yeah, it was one of those films on Sky. You know how like on Sky Films now, where like if something's maybe not as friendly towards like newer generations, they'll put up this has like
right.
olden humor or something.
The fucking woke message.
Yeah, so like it had one of them on it, but I still really enjoy it. I think it's a great film. Like, but I don't know what it is. I always watch like old films during Christmas, like 90s, 80s.
Yeah.
So yeah, stuff like that.
I prefer old films.
Yeah, well, you know what I watched the other day for the first time in a while, and we've talked about this before, but I watched Taxi Driver.
Oh, aye.
And I was just remembering, like, I think that's what, like, again, that's 1974, so it's not yesterday.
No.
But like, obviously, the film's incredibly dark. Like, you know, there's some
it's one of them films. Aye. You got to be into that sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure. But like, I think it was like, I don't think I've seen like a film that's like better represented like the deterioration of someone's mental state. And this is like before like the era of where like mental health became like quite a recognized thing. Mm-hmm. Maybe the last film that kind of displayed it well. I know it sounds a bit out there, but like The Dark Knight, you know, how the Joker was quite a mentally ill character. It was the first time he's kind of portrayed as that. But yeah, I mean, it just, you know, it just seems like De Niro's character in that is just like lonely. Do you know what I mean?
It showed how good of an actor he is, though.
Yeah, and it was probably the first thing that he was recognised for as well, really, wasn't it? Like, I know, like...
The Godfather and things like that was obviously after,
wasn't it? I think there was, like... Yeah, because Marlon Brando was, like, the first one, and then De Niro...
De Niro...
Second or third one he came in?
Second one, yeah. Because it was, like, between two lives. So
yeah, because he played a younger Marlon Brando, I think.
Yeah, and he was fucking excellent, by the way. But, yeah, I mean... Yeah, De Niro's a good actor. I mean, his views are a little bit funny, like, but yeah, man, like, he's a good actor. He's one of my favourite actors, I think.
And his career just kind of fucking skyrocketed from there, really, didn't it? Because it was, you know, those films, and then, you know, Raging Bull, and then have you ever seen that Once Upon a Time in America? Is it with James Woods?
Yeah,
that's a really good film as well.
Yeah. Wasn't that one? Is that the one about the mob?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it starts off like really early, like
1900s, like at 1920s.
Yeah, and then like one of them, is it De Niro's character that goes to jail? One of them stabs a police officer or something like that, and
that's right. And because there's a group of there's a group of lads in there, and then they all sort of fall into that life. And then, I've seen that film. It's good.
It turns out like James Woods' spoilers, by the way. You've had like 30 years to watch it, for fuck's sake. But James Woods' character like faked his own death and stole his girlfriend or something like that. Yeah.
These films, they just don't make films like that anymore.
They don't. Like I seen like a thing from The Departed the other day, where it's like Matt Damon and Leonardo DiCaprio. It's a scene where they're going down the elevator, and it's just before. Spoilers again. Leo DiCaprio gets absolutely blasted through the head. I remember watching that for the first time and losing my fucking mind.
Yeah.
And then everyone gets shot right after that, apart from Matt Damon, who then gets taken out by Mark Wahlberg. Funnily enough, like I for years when I was growing up, I always used to mix up like. But I know people used to mix up like Mark Wahlberg and Leo DiCaprio and Matt Damon. Like there was like for some reason, like because they were always in like similar types of films and similar names, and then it was like that's the only film that's had all three of them in it.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, that cast for that film's phenomenal, by the way.
I know.
Got Martin Sheen, Charlie Sheen's dad.
Yeah.
Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
There's another one in there. I think is it Jessica Biel, Jessica Alba. Can't remember, one of the two.
I think is it Jessica Alba?
No, I think it must be Jessica Biel. Must be the other one.
I can't remember.
I'll fact check myself. If
do you know what I mean? I think it's been quite a while since I've seen that film, to be honest.
Yeah, but again, like it's nearly 20 years since that film came out.
I mean, they don't make films like what's that other film called? The one with De Niro's in it as well. One, it's incredible. Something to do with it's in the tip of my tongue.
What kind of time are we talking about?
90s.
Casino?
No, not Goodfellas. It's
Capifera. He plays as not serial killer, but
oh my god, A Bronx Tale.
Oh yeah, he directed that film.
Oh
yeah.
man, what a film! That's one of the best movies. Like if you're like into like mafia stuff, like that's a really good movie. But I think the best mafia film I think I've ever seen. Obviously, you've got the classics, right? Goodfellas, Casino, The Godfathers, all that sort of stuff. But the 1996 Gotti film.
I remember you recommended that. That was really good.
That really highlights what that life is like. And it's like, some people might not like it because there's like not a lot of action in it.
Yeah.
But there's enough. But there's like, it's more about what it's actually like. And a lot of mobsters.
I would say it probably doesn't glamorize it as much either.
No, it doesn't, and it shows you the hard times that they actually entail. Like, for example, like having to rob parking meters and things because they've got to come up with money every week, and it's thousands a week. It's not a couple of hundred. Do you know what I mean? Like it's so. I think and ex guys that were in mafia, like ex mobsters and stuff, they've all basically said, yeah, like that film is as close as I think anybody's ever told it.
Yeah, because like I suppose like stuff like Goodfellas and stuff like that as well. I think a lot of times people forget that's like, you know, Henry Hill was quite a low level associate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he wasn't like a big deal or anything like that.
But he was in a good crew.
Yeah,
that was the difference, right? Like for example, if you've got like the Bonanno family, right? So if you've got like a film, what was that film with Johnny Depp and Al Pacino, Donnie Brasco?
Yeah,
that shows you the hard times of like particular like the Bonanno family. They're still one of the biggest families in America, but they weren't doing as well as the Gambinos and everybody else. So a lot of these guys were starving, right? So they were having to still come up with money, and a lot of them were degenerate gamblers as well.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, like
that's when like stuff like drug dealing came into it, even though it's forbidden and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like films like that, like they don't make them anymore.
No.
I mean, The Irishman was good. It was long, but it was good.
Yeah, I always remember that Ricky Gervais joke at the Golden Globes. Where he's like, "I'm away to show a clip of The Irishman. It's 2 hours long or something like that." Yeah. To be fair, so was Killers of the Flower Moon when I went to see that, and I think it's again, it's probably just a sense of the modern day as well. Like, I think it is hard to kind of tell something accurately, but then a wee bit of Hollywood in that, you know, like, because like, I mean, to be fair though, like I was watching, I tell you who I really think has been really good the last 2 decades in terms of filmmaking. It's Christopher Nolan. Like I watched Oppenheimer and I actually really enjoyed that. Again, it's something that's not like, it's not like Bad Boys where they're opening up and everyone gets shot straight away, you know what I mean? But because I'm quite interested in history, I enjoyed the kind of telling of the...
Cillian Murphy always does a good job.
Yeah, I know. And he's in every Christopher Nolan film as well, because I just remembered he was I was going to bring up the Dark Knight trilogy, and he's the Scarecrow or whatever, the doctor guy.
I seen a movie called In Time or something. He was in it. And there's another big actor. Who the fuck was it? Justin Timberlake, maybe? Can't remember. But it was a good film. It was like almost like set in the future. It was good.
Yeah.
But Cillian Murphy, that was like one of the first films I'd seen him in. The only thing I'd ever really seen him in was Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
Which I'm a massive fan of, which I've watched from season 1 to 6. I think
and like every big UK
times.
actor's been in it at this point, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
Tom Hardy.
I think my favourite actor that's come out of the UK would be Stephen Graham.
Yeah, no, we've talked about this before. He is great.
Yeah, I mean, he's just insane.
To do well, not on the same kind of level, but we're just talking about how money changes people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I was watching, you know, again, not really got an opinion on one way or the other. It was a process that happened, but I watched the Conor McGregor trial a couple of weeks ago, right? Obviously was found liable in a civil trial and all that. But just like there's been speculation about that guy for years that he's been on gear and fucking about on his missus and stuff like that. And that was basically confirmation of all those things, if anything else, right? Forgetting what he's been found liable of and the however that's been worked out and whatever. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I felt really bad for his missus, like going in with him, like, because she's had to like hear all that, and obviously she kind of came out swinging in his defense. But just you know, money changes people, doesn't it?
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
100%. I mean, McGregor's a totally different person now.
Yeah.
I mean, if you liked him back, you know, when he was in the UFC and things like that, when he was, you know, at the top of his game.
He was probably the most famous person in the world at one point.
Oh, 100%. I mean, listen, this guy is completely different now. I mean, I don't recognize him. Yeah, I just don't. I mean, I was a fan of him, right? But from what I'm seeing, we don't know the ins and outs, but there's a lot of stuff that's out there, obviously, with the court case and everything that's went on. Yeah, it doesn't look good, does it? I mean, his missus is stuck with him as well, you know, through the start of him quitting his job and wanting to fight full time.
Not making any money.
And not having any money. They were on benefits.
Yep.
And she stuck with him because she believed in him. And then this is how he repays her.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem...
It's not great, is it?
It doesn't seem great, does it?
No.
If I was her, I would just... But I mean, it's the children you feel sorry for.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 4 kids
He's got
now,
kids,
yeah.
you know what I mean? And it's like, really bad.
And the fact that he's...
And I was literally just the way to say it. Are you talking about what he was going to do with Ireland? Trying to be the...
Well, no, they brought that up, but I think it was just like how it played out so publicly as well, because he's obviously still a notable person. Everyone knows who he is. Obviously, like, he's not going to go to prison for it because it wasn't a criminal trial, and I guess whatever they have a word for the Irish police, the Gardaí or something like that, decided not to prosecute. Obviously, I don't know the ins and outs. I didn't see what the jury's seen, so...
Yeah, but he was trying to be the...
Yeah, he was mentioning it, but he says a lot of things, though, didn't he?
To do with, what was it, what does it, Ireland have got? A Prime Minister?
Yeah, so I think they've got both. I'm not sure with the ins and outs of it. Yeah, again, it says a lot.
But this is the thing, people with money trying to get into politics.
Yeah. And,
you know?
But to be fair, I was aware of not that there was going to be a case, but that rumour that this had happened had been going around, and I think the incident in question happened was alleged to have happened in 2018.
Yeah, I'd heard about it,
a long time ago, a few years ago. Like, not that makes any difference, but like, just...
No. No, it's completely wrong, like...
But it's just like, that guy's kind of life is just... Obviously, away from fighting, he's still made a lot of money, right? The whiskey's very popular. He's got like a stout or something as well. But obviously, like...
But if you think about all his... sponsorships he's had over the years.
Literally what I was just about to say, that's all fucked.
Yeah.
Because now, even if you get it overturned, you're forever known.
Tarnished with it.
Yeah, because I remember he came out of the court and there was like a Sky News reporter there or something, and they just straight up and said, how does it feel to be labelled be a rapist or something like that, you know? Yeah. And I was like, fuck, like...
Yeah, that's you done now, man.
Yeah.
Like, finished. Yeah, okay, he's got money, but think of his lifestyle. He's going to need to earn in order to upkeep that lifestyle, and it's a pretty mad lifestyle he's got.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't know how she's putting up with it, like.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just, you know, like, because I remember, like, because he'd always been like a brash, arrogant, but like...
Confident.
Yeah, like,
really
the whole character was like the trash talk thing, and it was funny.
He was like larger than life when he... Yeah.
And then just... Because it was like 2016 was like the peak, I would say, like when he won like those 2 belts in the New York thing, like, you know, it's kind of... I remember watching that event and thinking like, this is like one of the best sporting things I've ever seen in my life. And now that's kind of like...
It's sad, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's almost like tarnished, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's sad to think that, you know, this one character that everybody like loved and looked up to and all that, and then he does that, you know? And it's like... As well as, like, for example, you might like someone, like, for example, that you could be a fan of someone, right? And then you've been a fan of them for maybe 30 years, and then you realise they've been abusing people or whatever, you know what I mean? And it's like, holy fuck.
The first kind of experience I ever had with that was with Ryan Giggs. Like, it's not... Situation's not funny.
No.
But I remember there was like speculation who this football, because it was in the news every single fucking day. And Imogen Thomas was on like This Morning and all these types of morning programs. And I was convinced that it was Craig Bellamy, right? Because Craig, it said Welsh winger for, and I was trolling all my, because Craig Bellamy played for Liverpool at the time, so I was like literally like, it's going to be good when it comes out, and when it was right, like. But the mental thing about that, and we're talking about money with influence, it was illegal to say that dude's name for a day because he had this super injunction which stopped. I think he paid extra so that it would become an offence to name him as the person. So, and actual, we're talking about politicians and stuff. One, I guess, the noble things that they've done is an MP named him in Parliament that broke the super injunction. Yeah. Obviously, a member of Parliament can't, because they are in control of the country to an extent. Yeah. And then I remember hearing about that, and then it obviously got worse when his brother's missus came out. And, yeah. But I remember shortly after that, because like as a United fan, I remember watching Ryan Giggs grow up and win all these titles and all this type of stuff.
It's like a hero, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I guess like he'd always kind of portrayed this character of being like a respectable guy, and it turned out like he was quite frankly a coward if you listen to like any of his brother talks about him and stuff. Yeah. But I remember watching something quite like shortly after that, and it was someone saying, I think they were talking about, again, someone that was I can't remember who it was, someone that had been up to no good or whatever, but it was like, this is why like sports people, not even if I appreciate them as athletes and that, I don't idolize them, because the only people I should idolize are people that I know in my life, like my parents and stuff, and it just kind of made me rethink things. So even though I'd be like disappointed in like someone that I was a fan of, I can't say that like I'm like totally destroyed by it, because I understand that I'll never know these people really. You know what I mean? Whereas
exactly, they've not the only influence you're getting from them is what you can see, right? And it's the same with like, it's like, don't believe everything you see, basically, because behind the curtain you never know what's going on.
Yeah, no, totally.
Like, so like, at least if it's a family member you idolize, you know everything about them, right? So yeah, don't try and look up to celebrities too much.
Yeah, and it's just, again, it's just like it's a different world they live in a lot of the time. You know what I mean?
See, what makes me think is like, like artists like, I don't know, I'm not like, nothing against Taylor Swift, but like someone that famous, and all of these like, girls and women or whatever, are just completely obsessed. And it's like, yeah, but okay, you love the music, you maybe like the interviews and the outfits in the show, but you don't know her. Yeah. And they think they do, right? And that's the thing, right? As it gets you. And it's like, something, because if something were to come out about whoever person, you're destroying, I don't know how many people's minds.
Yeah.
And it's just,
it's the difficulty of trying to differentiate reality from virtual reality, I guess, in a way, right? Because, one of the things that's kind of always kind of blown my mind about this, like this was, I would never say it's ever been a big thing or whatnot, but it has surprised me. Like, I was getting told by a family member that they were in work for, they were working in Keith or something, right? And I don't know how they ended up got to talking, but I think they brought up my documentary or something, and the person knew me and said that like she'd watched all the Northeast Corner stuff and that. And I was like, this person's in Keith. That's like 30, 40 miles away, which again, a very small compared to what we're talking about here, but it just like was like fuck, do you know what I mean? Like, and I remember there was a time my mum was working in the shop when she worked in the shop, and someone came up and said, how's Ryan's podcast? And I'd never met this person in my life before. Do you know what I mean?
It's mad, isn't it?
It is like, even something as small as this.
I've been out to the bar and all that, and like I've had people be like, oh, when's the next podcast? Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know, next week. Yeah. And then like, like I had I think it was Nicky's brother, Bailey's brother, bigger brother, and he was like, oh, I watch the podcast all the time. I listen to it when I'm like, because it's a window cleaner and all that. And he was like,
biscuits.
Oh, yeah. And he was like, I watch it all the time and all that. I love all the episodes about the mafia and this and that, the next thing and all that. And I was like, all right, okay, cool. But loads of people listen to it.
There was at one point where I could not go out. And this is not saying that it was popular or anything, but it made me feel like it was like my entire personality. The first thing anyone would ever bring up to was that, do you know what I mean?
The podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still get text messages of photos of when Kevin McKidd's back every single time. And I'm like, mate, I've tried.
We still have that deal.
No,
if he gets it, I want to be there.
I hear, if someone could fucking get, like, I remember a mate of mine's dad, I think it was last New Year, was piping for him or something. He must have rented like this kind of big house. I know he's big into music and that. He made that Space Side Sessions album and that. I was like, you know, I sent a text message or something. You know what I mean? Like, because I've tried every bloody agent. The only thing I will refuse to do is like his family members have been tagged in a bunch of the posts, and
That's
said,
a bit
reach
much.
out, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that because how often are they getting fucking asked about, you know?
Aye.
If one of them were to reach out to me and we're happy to do
Then
it,
fine.
fair
enough.
but I'm not going to go and fucking
Like pester people, yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, there's a line, right? You don't cross.
Of course, and you know,
Yeah, I mean, listen, the guy's busy as fuck.
yeah, like
I mean,
he
this
is a Hollywood
like,
actor.
He's one of the, he's a big name, do you know what I mean? So, like, that's the thing. Like, yeah, it'd be amazing to have him on here.
It would be fantastic. And I know he like I seen he did an interview in the Press and Journal. He talked about it. He wants to come back more and more. I know his dad passed away recently, so sad to hear about that. I know he was kind of big in the community. I know his mum does a lot of work still, I think, with the Out the Darkness Theatre, which is a theatre company that works with a lot of people with like learning disabilities, and they go and do plays and stuff like that. So yeah, it's funny though because his brother comments on all like the Football Journal stuff.
Oh, does
so
he?
It's just like weird, you know what I mean? Like seeing like because I think it was, who was it? John Teasdale. We had him on in the summer, and yeah, I remember just recognizing the name. I was like, oh, it's Kevin McKidd's brother.
Mad, isn't it?
Yeah, but like I was getting asked to potentially film something live at the town hall, and I think the person like must have known Kev's mum, and she was, you know, people always tell me like, leave it with me, and I'm like,
yeah,
just you know, like, okay, whatever, just like don't get my hopes up, do you know what I mean? But like I think I was saying, I had a friend meet him when the Bonnie Earl was shutting down, and I think he went to that, and he was like, it was pretty cool because we never once brought up his career. And to be fair, if we were to ever to speak to him, I wouldn't really want to talk because I think everyone's very aware of what he does.
I think we'd just like to talk about Loss and Elgin.
Yeah,
and
like
what it was like growing up here and all that.
I would love to ask him because I've seen him like do like a few big like talk shows in America. Like I think I've seen him do one with like Jennifer Hudson or something. I would love to like ask him if he's ever thought to himself like, could I explain the concept of like Les Murdy to these people? Do you know what I mean? Because I would just love to see that because I just think it would blow their absolute mind.
I saw a tweet and someone was like, "Oh, I'm from the same city as you," and he was like, "Oh, Bissy Boy's on top non-stop," and I was like, "No fucking way, he's just said that."
I know, he's like living in Los Angeles, man. That's nuts. But
fucking brilliant, man.
Yeah, but I know he comes back quite. Obviously, I guess with COVID and that probably put a stop to that for a little bit, but.
I think he gets back when he can.
Yeah, definitely. I think he had his missus with him as well. So that's another one of like that because I know his kids are more or less. I know he's a dual citizen.
American.
Like, they're basically American.
Yeah.
I would love to know if I would assume that they've been back, but I would.
I would think so.
I would love to ask if they've like ever turned to him and be like, "Thank you so much for getting out of this dump, Dad." Like,
aye, well, that's the thing. But the thing is, right, is like Scotland is also beautiful.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like, do you know like the amount of people I talk to? I mean, like I know people in America and stuff, and they're like, we see all these movies and all that, and we listen to the music, and it just makes us feel like home.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah, like we can see like, you know, like videos of like, you know, like for example the country like up at Glens and all that. You know what I mean? Like if you go like North Coast 500 and you see all the beautiful like hills and mountains and all that sort of stuff, and you know, like Mount Ben Nevis and all that sort of stuff, and they're all like, yeah, it just makes us feel like that's where we're from. And I'm like, well, maybe your ancestors were. Do you know what I mean? Because America was built up of loads of different people.
Well,
you know?
like, you know, especially like places like New York, not just Scotland, but like New York's like a big Irish. I think there's big Russian. I mean, there's every bloody culture over there.
It's
like
a bit of everything,
most multicultural place in the world. But
Italians,
yeah, of course.
Chinese,
yeah, the Italians integrated well, didn't they? Didn't cause any. But to be fair, like same with the Irish, wasn't it?
blame Mussolini.
Yeah, you had like. I'm trying to think of the Irish mob that like I read a book on.
The Westies.
Yeah, the Westies. Yeah. So yeah, like, there was loads, but I know they do like stuff like they have like the parades. They'll have like the bagpipes and stuff as well.
Oh, that's amazing when you see that in New York, and like you just like a pipe bands just take over.
Yeah, and it's like mad to see like there's like actual Irish pubs in New York, not like Americans doing Irish themed things,
no,
like proper people from
proper
like
Irish.
Donegal or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I think all the people I've seen multiple YouTube videos of people reacting to, Scottish bagpipes and all that sort of stuff. They're always crying, man.
Yeah,
like it's just like it just hits something in people. Do you know what I mean?
It's eerie, isn't it?
It's basically it's like you're listening to like you ever like watch the show Vikings and you hear that sort of like tribal singing.
Yeah,
it's hard to explain, but yeah, it's like very sort of like it grounds you, right? And I think the bagpipes do the same thing.
Yeah, for sure.
It's one of that sort of sounds, isn't it?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And there hasn't been like a, do you know what? Like there hasn't been like a proper big kind of Scottish film for a while. There seems to be like one every decade.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not even talking like a specific genre. So you've got like Trainspotting, obviously, which was probably not just like a Scottish one, probably was just like big in like British culture of what was going on at the time in the 90s and all that kind of stuff. And then you had obviously Braveheart, which is obviously definitely more geared towards the American. Like if you ask America like anything about Scotland, Braveheart is usually
Braveheart's what they say,
within the first sentence. And then you had like stuff like even like 10 years ago in an animated sense, you had Brave, which I guess was like the Disney Channel Braveheart, if you will. But
wasn't there one about Robert the Bruce? I think there was like 2 films about him. Was it something The Last King or something?
Oh yeah,
there was something like that, and yeah.
And you've had like people like James McAvoy do films like Filth, is it? Which is quite a disturbing film. If I remember.
Yeah. We should do a film.
Yeah, I know. We've got to make it.
Yeah.
Once Kevin McKidd's on, we'll get that director's budget.
Oh man.
But
it'd be fucking mad seeing a film made in Lossy.
I know.
Lossy's got nice beaches though.
Yeah, well, wasn't there like a band that came here and filmed the music videos?
Was it Scouting for Girls?
Yeah, it was,
like
wasn't it? Mm-hmm. I was about to say 30 Seconds to Mars, but that's the Jared Leto guy, innit? Yeah, I get those two mixed up.
Yeah, but like even The Crown was filmed.
Yeah,
the last season.
Guy Gordonston.
There was the lighthouse. They used the lighthouse and the part of the beach.
What about, was there not like a scene from Peaky Blinders? Was it not Portnocky or something like that was used? Not Portnocky, Port Soy or
Port
something.
Soy, that's right. The harbours.
Yeah.
Down the harbour. Yeah, that's right. It's mad. Like, Lossy's got loads of great spots for making movies and everything like that.
Yeah, definitely.
It's quite a cinematic place. A lot of people come to Scotland to film.
And I think it's like especially in like America, I know there's obviously rural areas over there as well, but like it feels like big cities everywhere, isn't it? A very industrialized place where I know like sometimes people maybe moan here that there's like not, well, if you're looking for a takeaway, here is the place. Like I think there's Elgin's getting a Pizza Hut now or something I was seeing.
About time, man.
Yeah. But like I was saying to you, I remember Sky One on the TV. Remember the Domino's adverts?
Yeah.
We only got a Domino's like in 2017.
Yeah.
You know?
I remember like they've had McDonald's in America since the 50s, right?
It was 90s it opened over
90s here.
Yeah.
I remember going there when it was first built. My auntie would take me there every like weekend or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'd go there with her and all our mates and stuff in the 90s. So I was like a toddler. Yeah.
Well, I think my mum said like the first time that I wasn't obviously going there to have food. I was there as like a baby, obviously, but I proceeded to be sick, and she had to catch it in her hand to stop it on the floor. So
nice.
Bon appetit, huh?
It was mad because I remember the lady that worked there, and she'd not long just retired.
Oh, jeez.
I think it's either that or she's still there, but I'm pretty sure I heard she retired. Everybody knows her.
Yeah. Oh, is it
Sheila?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like when it opened, right? I was maybe like what? I don't know when it opened. Was it like mid-90s, late 90s?
Well, I was 96, so it must have been 96.
Yeah,
earlier,
so I would have been like, I don't know, maybe, 96 I would have been 2, but like, I remember going there when I was like, 4, whatever else, and I remember her.
Yeah.
And they used to have the Ronald McDonald clown. He would show up at parties and stuff.
Yeah,
I was shit scared of him.
I know. Even do you remember like the circus?
Yeah,
like in Elgin. I remember going to see the circus, man. Some of the I like stuff like when they had like scrambler motorbikes going across like pieces of string and stuff like that.
That was cool.
But like some of the clown stuff was like, yeah.
And then they'd pull up like your dad on stage or something. Like my dad get pulled up on stage, and I was like, oh fuck.
I remember when this was when I was on good terms with my dad, so long time ago. But I remember the most like what the fuck moment I've ever had was in Dicey's for his birthday, which that statement right there should just tell you everything you need to know.
Aye.
But I think my younger sister got up to do karaoke, and Florence and the Machine, You've Got the Love came on, and I had to go outside. I was like, this is
too
just
much.
Yeah, and you know what? I actually remember there was a guy playing beats on a laptop outside Dicey's. Of all places, who the fuck would have thought, right? So I remember I think I ended up like just to get away from trying to avoid my dad on his birthday. There's a side of things to come. But I remember I must have smoked like 3 or 4 cigarettes next to this guy just talking about, I had no fucking clue about fucking making music. It's like 2019. I still don't, obviously, but fair play to the guy. The guy was like, he was like taking like donations. So if people liked his music, they could leave him a quid. And he's like, I'm saving up for a new laptop to get I can't remember exactly what it was, but he was trying to improve and stuff.
Stronger system.
And there was like people going by and going like this because it was right next to Joanna's as well. And I was like, that must be a rough gig because you think about people that are intoxicated and probably fucking obnoxious as fuck.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I ended up speaking to him for like a good hour to avoid the monstrosity that was going on in the dances karaoke.
That's the thing about Scotland. Like a lot of people actually aren't as nasty as people think.
No.
Like a lot of people are actually really fucking sound.
Yeah,
and like, you know, you could go out by yourself for a few drinks in the bar and end up having an insane night.
Yeah.
Because it's always the ones you don't plan that turn out to be
the most
incredible.
Mental. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I've always, and like you could be in the street and as you say, just one random guy and you could be sitting there for ages, like just talking to him about random shit and it's magic.
Yeah.
Like there's in America, it's too dangerous to do that.
Yeah. Well, obviously you've got like just added stuff with like everyone could be carrying and all this type of stuff, you know, like that, you know, putting people and drink together is dangerous enough. Putting people with drink and guns probably accelerates that level of danger. But I suppose it could happen here as well with knives and stuff.
Of course it could.
But
yeah, of course.
Yeah, but time we on. Right, we're nearly at 20 past. We'll go another 5 minutes and then we'll wrap up because I've got someone coming in here at 7.
All right.
I've got tonight, 2 tonight, and then 1 tomorrow, and then I'm off for 2 weeks. And I can actually take a break from a fucking computer screen.
Take a breather.
Aye. But I'm looking forward to like, I've been enjoying getting back and doing this, you know, like, I know, like I said, that I was calling it curtains on it in the summer, but in reality, I just needed a bit of a hiatus because I think trying to do this on top of what, like I was already doing just probably took its toll.
Too much weight on your shoulders.
Because there was like, you know, I was editing one on the eve of my birthday and I was like, fuck, I should probably just
chill it,
not do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, but it's been good. I've had a couple guests on, Matty from Murray Mental Health, Chris Saunderson, one of the guys that I produced for, who used to work for the Northern Scot. I've been trying to get to like speak to more journalists and stuff like that. I had some guy from the Press and Journal at the start of the year, and then obviously we'll have our chats as well. I get like the best of both worlds. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So yeah, just it's, you know, it's kind of been, it's nuts because like it's been like 3.5 years that I've been doing this sort of thing in one. We've been doing this sort of thing for one shape or form or the other, and it's just kind of mad that of what like. Who's been in this room, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, there's been a lot of people in here.
So it's just cool, isn't it? We were speaking outside before we came in. It's just like how this stuff kind of organically happens in it, and it's long may it continue. I'm branching out into different fields with being on the go and stuff like that. Stuff that I wasn't really thinking I was going to do to begin with, and then just fell into it as things happen, and now. You know, I was doing it with the camcorders and they did a good job, but
yeah.
I thought if I'm going to maybe potentially branch off into weddings and stuff like that, I want to get someone specifically for that.
Yeah.
Which I do. I've messed with a 3-camera setup once before, but I will only do it if it's actually required. If you know what I mean.
Like cuts to.
Yeah. So like I'll have like well, obviously the two there, and then sometimes put one back here. But it is if I can just do two cameras, I'll do two cameras. But if we genuinely need a third camera for something, then I'll do it. And the video switcher makes it easier just because like it's there. You know? Like,
yeah. It actually feels like ages though since we've done one of these. Yeah.
I know. I think the last one that we done when it was me and you was probably I think it might be the first episode of the year.
Really?
So we're ending it as we begun.
That's madness.
Yeah, because I think you were talking about the state of the delivery charges for Murray. I doubt that's got any better. No. Oh well.
No. Do you want to laugh? The other day, so my favorite chocolate in the world is this Norwegian stuff. My dad used to bring it home from Norway all the time when he worked offshore.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and it's not the one you get on the rig. It's another name. It's hard to pronounce Norwegian and that. So anyway, I ordered some from Amazon, and it's quite expensive. But like, I didn't notice the delivery charge, so I just ordered it.
Oh, right.
And then I looked at the thing, and I was like, $16.99 delivery. I was like, for fuck's sake. I was like fuming. And then I was on Discord with my pals, and they're like, just cancel it. I was like, no, I want it.
I'm still wanting the chocolate.
I was like, I'm still raging, but I'll be raging and happy at the same time.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I got it was these little extender things, because if you have the SM7B just connected to the thing, it's a bit of a not build design flaw, but it's that close to like this bit on the mount that the bike, it can be a bit pinched, and I'm very cautious about ruining wires or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I think I mean, they don't cost that much. I think they were like £5 or something each.
Worth it.
And it's like just basically also extends the actual length of the boom arm as well. But like they were like for the place that I got them from Gear for Music. Have you ever heard of that?
Gear for Music? I've been on there. I have bought loads of things from there. Yeah,
trust me, the same. And some of the times it's really quick, but then I think it's more of a European based company.
Yeah.
So like I bought these, and I bought they you know how I used to have like those like pop filters on the pod mics.
Yeah.
They've made like a custom one now specifically for the pod mic, so it's not just like the shitty black puff thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'll get one of them because you could choose your colors, right? And I was like, that's pretty cool because the pod mic's pretty susceptible to plosives. As much as it looks cool without anything on it, like,
I think you can get custom.
Yeah, you can get
How
custom.
cool would it be to like have
a lighthouse?
A lighthouse
I'm gonna
or something?
I'm gonna look into that. I think there's one called Reporter Store that does that. But I will look into that
because I noticed I watch Armin van Buren's radio show.
Yeah,
and he's got these mics, but it's blue, and it's got the Armada.
Yeah,
which is the record label, which is like the sign for Armada on it. And I was like, oh, I wonder where you get them. It's quite cool.
Yeah, so I've seen a few sites. I definitely need to look into that because for me, like I've swapped, like there's a bigger one that comes with this as well, and I've swapped them out back and forth.
Oh, I noticed the picture.
But then
I prefer them.
They just look better for video stuff, especially.
And you see most of the people using them anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm taking that's maybe the best.
And the bigger one dulls it down too much, and you have to like introduce more high frequency, and it sounds, Don't
talk to me about frequencies, man. Like I'm making music all the time, and I'm thinking you might have like a certain sample, and you're like, oh my god, that fucking frequency is driving me nuts. Then you got to EQ it, and then it's like the other day yesterday. Well, actually, for about a week, I've been messing about with this lead sound. Everything's like going well and everything, and I'm like, I can still hear that frequency. Where is that coming from?
And
I haven't identified what it is.
I remember there's a guy that I watch on YouTube called Tom Buck who he never claims to be a professional or anything, but he does a lot of stuff with the Roadcasters, and I think he just actually won like the company Rode that have done the Roadcasters and the pod mics and all that stuff, did like a Creator of the Year award thing, and I think he won, so congrats, because he's like really informative on stuff, and he was talking about I just totally lost my train of thought, but what were we just talking about there? We were talking about
the Roadcaster, and EQ and stuff. And
EQ, and yes, he was talking about EQ, and he was like, there is a part of you where if you're doing it for too long, you can like almost fatigue your ears to where everything just sounds the same.
I was going to say to you, if I've been mixing music for more than an hour, I'll take a break.
Yeah, that's what
your ears get tired.
To do. Yeah,
Yeah, it's true. Like everything starts to just sound the same, and then you'll come back the next day and you'll go, "What the fuck? What's happened here?"
Yeah.
You know. But I've got a really good EQ that I use. It's called the FabFilter Pro Q3.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, it's got like a dynamic EQs and all that sorts of stuff. Yeah,
insane. It's amazing. It's my favorite plugin I've got. I mean, I've got loads of plugins, but that's amazing.
I know it's very popular. I've seen it on multiple
yeah. It's almost like an industry standard these days. Like I think most people use it. It's very, very good. But I actually got it a little bit cheaper than the FabFilter website. I actually got it from Gear for Music.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Gear for Music don't just do hardware, they do software
as well. Well, that's awesome.
Which is great because, like, you know, I mean, I think I bought Spire, which is a synthesizer.
Mm-hmm.
I actually bought it from there instead of I think I got it from there anyway, instead of this place to get Spire, because I thought I was getting it cheaper and I was just like, well, I've bought from there before, works perfect. So, yeah, Gear for Music's pretty good in my books.
And when they are quick, they are very quick.
Well, but you get the email.
Yeah, pretty instantly.
Like that. Like, because when they send you the email, that's the download link.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for software,
To the plugin, yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but everything I've ever bought for Gear for Music's been
top notch.
good, great. Yeah. I bought a keyboard from there. But second-hand, it wasn't even refurbished. It was in great condition. Second-hand, brilliant, works perfect.
Yeah. Another one I would say is Kex, which I never thought like they would deal in microphones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I always seen it as like a second-hand video game shop.
Mm-hmm.
But they work in cameras and all sorts now apparently. So and like everything I've had from there, even though it's second-hands, depending on the category, they give you like a C, B, A, and I tried to go for the A because I don't know, I would feel bad if I got something that had a mark on it or something. Like I want it to be like
pristine,
like new.
Yeah,
you know,
like that keyboard I got. Like I was trying to find one because they don't make them anymore. And I saw David Guetta using it, and I was like, I need something so when I'm playing chords, so I can just mess around. And because if you're messing about with different sounds and you're playing it on the keys, it inspires you differently than just what you have in your head. Sometimes you need to just do you need to fondle a wee bit and trying to find something. But works great.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
That's been 2 hours, my friend.
2 hours?
It feels like 20 minutes, doesn't it?
It doesn't feel like 2 hours.
First and foremost, it's good to be back.
Of course.
We'll get back in January. I think we could probably do one pretty early in January because I'm not going to be open again until January 7th. And that probably gives us like 3-4 days after the holiday season if you're free to get one in then before I'm back to the grind, as people would say.
Just give me a shout and we'll get it done.
Enjoy your Christmas, man.
You as well, mate.
Thank you.